Hey boys and girls, so today you're going to watch me do what we call a bubble map. I'm going to write down facts that I learned about George Washington into my bubbles. This will help my brain be able to think and be ready to write true informational sentences about George Washington. So we want to give our brain some time to think before we just start writing. We call this pre-writing. That means before we write, we get our thoughts down on paper. So I'm going to think about all the things that I learned about George Washington today. And I'm going to use the label tool and I'm just going to type up some words that I remember about George Washington. Now, I'm not making an actual sentence, so it does not have to have a capital letter or a period, nothing like that. I'm just writing some short words to help my brain think about what I do want to write. So I'm going to think about some facts I learned. Well, I remember that he was the first president. So I'm going to type that, and then I'm going to move it to my bubble. First president. He was the first president of the United States. So see, I didn't write a complete sentence. I just wrote a key detail fact to help me remember about George Washington. The next thing I'm going to think about is I remember that he was a soldier in the army. He was the top leader. So I'm going to write soldier. And I'm going to put that in my second box. What else did I remember about George Washington? He lived on a farm. So I'm going to write farm. That'll help me remember later that he lived on a farm. What else do I remember about George Washington? Oh, he's on the $1 bill. So I'm going to do a $ and write a $1 to remind me he's on the $1 bill. I also remember that he's on the quarter. So I'm going to write quarter to help me remember he's on the quarter. And then I need to think of one more fact or key detail about George Washington that I learned this morning. Let me think. He was the first president. He was a soldier in the army. He's lived on a farm. He's on the $1 bill. He's on the quarter. Oh, and I remember a silly one. He wore powder in his hair. So I'm going to write powder in his hair. And then I'm going to move that to my last bubble. All right, so these facts or key details help my brain get ready to think about what I want to write about. So on my next page, I'm going to use these key details that I did in my bubble map to help me write 2 true informational sentences about George Washington. Now, normally you would write with a pencil. I'm going to type this morning because it's very hard for me to write on the computer. So I'm going to think about, let me go back to my bubble map. I need to pick 2 key details from my bubble map that I want to tell you about George Washington. So I'm going to pick that he was the first president, and then I'm going to pick something fun that he's on the dollar bill. So I'm going to use this one, this key detail, and this key detail. Now, I'm not going to use the other ones today, but it's good to have all your ideas so that you can think and have some choices about what to write about. So now that I know the key details I'm going to write about, I'm ready to go to my next page and start writing my informational sentence. So I want to use the word George Washington. Well, I don't know how to spell that. So I'm going to look back here at my bubble map and look right here in the center of my bubble map. I have his name, George Washington. So I'm just going to copy that. So I'm going to type. Now he does have a capital letter because it's the first word in my sentence, but it's also his name. You always capitalize people's names. So everybody's name, a name of a person, always starts with a capital letter, his first name and his last name. So I'm leaving space, and I'm going to type a W as a capital because it's his first and last name. So people's names are always capitalized. George Washington, leave space, was, because he's not alive anymore, the, and then for first, I'm just going to use that one ST. first, that's the short way to write first, leave space, president. And then I put my period because I am writing a sentence this time. So I'm going to stretch this out so that it will fit on my line. Now you're going to write in your journal, so you don't have to worry about this, okay? All right, George Washington was the first president. I'm going to do a second sentence. We're going to start working on 2. Now, I don't have to write George Washington again because I already said his name. So now I can just write the short word he. So it's a new sentence, so I need to capitalize the H for he. H-E. He, and then I'm going to leave space, is, because he's still on the $1 bill. Help me to spell the sight word is. How do we spell is? I-S. Good job. He is, leave space, on. Do you know how to spell the sight word on? Spell it for me. O-N. Very good. Space. He is on the, or the. Y'all know how to spell that. Spell it for me. T-H-E. Good job. And then I'm going to do the $1 sign. I'm going to do a dollar sign, a 1, a dot, a 0, 0, $1, and then I'm going to leave space, bill. B, I, B is B, I, B, ill, L. And I actually know it's 2 L's. So he is on the $1 bill. All right, I'm done. So I'm going to put a period to say stop, I'm done. And then I'm going to fix my sentence a little bit. All right, now that I have my sentence, what would I need to do next? Well, I would need to draw my picture. And I would draw my picture of George Washington being the first president and that he's on the $1 bill. So I'm going to try my best to do that. Now, my touch screen's not working, so Miss Nora's trying to have to draw with a mouse. And let me just go ahead and tell you, that's probably not going to look too good. All right, so he had powder in his hair, remember? Oh, no, that's not going to show up, so let's just stick with yellow. All right, so I'm going to have to do, he had some kind of curly hair here. It's kind of long. They wore wigs. He had wigs. All right, I don't know what color his eyes were. I'm just going to guess blue. All right, I'm going to give him a nose and his mouth. All right, I'm going to try my best. It is hard to write with a mouse. All right, I've got his long jacket here that he wore. I'm going to put the buttons on it. I'm going to give him his pants. There we go. I'm going to give him some shoes. All right, and I need his tricorn hat. So it's a 3-pointed hat. So I'm going to do a straight line, point here, kind of a curve at the top and another point. And then I need to draw my $1 bill. So I'm going to do my dollar bill. And put a 1 on it. And then I guess I need to go back and give him some hands, right? I'm just going to give him some lines. All right, so my picture matches my words. So you're gonna use the bubble map that I just did for you. You can use some of those ideas. Now don't copy exactly what I did. You can pick maybe one of the ones I did, or you can go back and pick some of the other ones I did not use. So again, he was the first president, he was a soldier, he lived on a farm, he's on the $1 bill, he's on the quarter, he had powder in his hair, he wore a tricorn hat was another one we could add. All right. So then I picked from there and I did my 2 informational sentences. So now you're going to pick 2 key details or 2 facts about George Washington, and you're going to write them in the 2 sentences in your journal and do a picture, and then you're going to take a picture of it and send it to me. All right, do your best. I can't wait to see your George Washington key details. Bye, boys and girls.